What's up, Good Landing? All right. Dude, packing this place out. Dude, I remember we could barely fill this place up whenever we got access to this house. And just to see it grow and to see the lives change, it's awesome. And so I want to thank you personally. My name's Trey. I work at Good Landing. I started this place about 8 years ago. And we started at 256 McMillan Road in Tequila, Georgia, with two part-time staff that really weren't even staff because they weren't paid. And I guess they were volunteers. And I picked up our first client on a hunting trip back in Mississippi. And, and just to see what God has done in this place, what he's done in the lives of people who have trusted us with their recovery journey. And so I know that there are a lot of other places that you could have chosen, that you could have picked, and I just want you to understand what a privilege it is to be able to serve you in this journey. And this night, this thing that we call Recovery Church, I always kind of struggled for what I should call it because I'm certainly not a pastor by any stretch, but I intentionally, named it because I know so many of us, whenever we're out there, we're thinking, man, we don't, if we walk into church, man, the thing's going to catch on fire and burn down. I mean, God is not, church people don't like us or, and I'll just tell you, don't flatter yourself. I mean, it's, if you know anything about who God has chosen to use, is the worst of the worst. And and he puts stories like the prodigal son. He puts stories about David and memorialized those stories as an example for us to know that we do belong and that there is grace that is deep enough for all of the wild stuff that we've done and the way that we've burned it down. And so I want you to understand tonight that whatever you might think about God or that he's some angry, old white dude in the sky that can't stand people like us. I mean, that is the furthest thing from the truth. And he's got an incredible story. I mean, I cannot believe that my resume to be able to do what I do was built. I didn't even think that I could waste my life the way that I did in IV methamphetamine addiction, and that God could redeem it in such a way and use it as a platform and a way to be able to reach people. And so as you sit here tonight, and there's some like the stage is what it is. You guys have heard me kind of rant about this. In the stage, it builds credibility, and it is a way to be able to serve more people. Okay, Todd's going to be speaking tonight. I'm going to introduce him in a second. And we would love to be able to sit down and have a one-on-one. But as you can see, with 500 people in here, there is no way, to be able to sit down and to have 500 coffees over the next 7 days and meet with each and every one of you. So with a microphone in a room like this, that we can serve more people. But I don't ever want you to think that this stage, what it does, it makes people seem cooler than they really are, okay? It just makes, sometimes you just seem like, oh my gosh, I'm down here and I got 2 days clean. And that person's up there like, look, man, I am telling you, I am still certified nuts, okay? I run this thing, own the treatment center or whatever. And so just don't ever think that the chasm is so great that God isn't going to be able to use your life in a profound way. I promise you that if you will submit to this process, anytime that I get a chance to meet with somebody, if I catch somebody and they're coming into the admissions process, I'm like, look, you're getting ready to walk in here. I'm thinking probably 90 to 95% of y'all are serious, okay? Probably 5% of y'all, you're mandated here. Somebody gave you an ultimatum. You're not serious yet. Hopefully you'll get there. But I tell somebody on the front end of look, you're not here to make friends. You're not here to come in and I hope you get some friends along the way. I hope that you make some great connections, but you are here to get your life back. This is a hospital to be able to get well. It's not a social club. It's not a way to come in here and pontificate and to, hide behind all of your great stories from 2004 when you were the big, drug dealer in the middle of nowhere, Georgia, that nobody cares about. Nobody wants to hear about that. You are here. You know what I'm saying? This, you are in drug rehab, okay? Like this whole idea that this is, I want you to have a good time, but this is not a culmination of all your awesome decisions. You have burned that thing to the ground, you know what I'm saying? And burned it to the ground, and you are here to get your life back. Get what you came for. Like put a draw on tonight. You have hired me and this team to save your life. Let us do it. Put a demand on that, okay? Put a demand on that to let us, we work for you. I am here to serve you, not to lord over you, not to, come in and exert power or anything like that. Like I know what it's like to sit right there in a meth-induced psychosis and want to blow my stinking brains out, and that God can reach you and touch you if you will just get humble enough and to say, man, I'm going to embrace this new way of life. I'm going to take these principles. You know what? And you're going to like some of the stuff you hear, and you're not going to like all the stuff. Look, I got people that work for me. I don't even know them, okay? There are people that probably get in those groups that I don't line up with word for word, but you can still get something out of every single one of them. Do you understand that? Change your relationship with authority. We come from the world where we hate authority. Authority's there to mess up our addiction. It's to mess with us getting high. I mean, I just spent the afternoon with the sheriff of Hall County. Couldn't believe it. Here's a day that I did not spend any time with any sheriffs unless I was in handcuffs, okay? So it was cool to be in there, but it's different, you know what I'm saying, whenever I'll see authority as somebody that's coming to intervene and to take away my freedom versus somebody that's an authority now to be able to serve you and to be able to make your life better. Okay, so realize that. Does that make sense? I mean, I know it's just like, it sounds elementary, but just that shift of just realizing like, this is not punitive. You are not in trouble. Do you understand that? Like you have a disease called addiction that wants to destroy your life, and there is a way out. There is hope. There is real hope. This whole room is filled up with people around the perimeter and that are sitting amongst you that sit in these same groups, that sit in these same services, that have multiple years clean right now. It stinking works. It works. God's not a respecter of persons. In the same way that he did it for me, he wants to do it for you. Seriously, at the same capacity. I don't know like what his plan is for your life necessarily, whether you're going to go on and work in the recovery field, or you're going to go start a construction business, or you're going to go be an executive assistant. I have no idea what that part of it is going to look like, but I am telling you the journey is amazing, and I wouldn't trade it for anything to be able to go back. And I love stinking getting high. I love everything about it. But I would not trade the freedom that I have today, the power of choice that I have today, to be able to go back to that prison, to that hell of addiction. So understand that, man. We are here on a Friday night because I understand that y'all are getting ready to go into the weekend. This is where the wheels normally come off the thing, okay? Pays all the same, whether we do it on Friday night or we do it on Tuesday morning. Friday night, y'all are getting ready to go into the weekend. You're in an outpatient setting. This is where so many people end up compromising and making some stupid decisions. And I want to see every single one of y'all get back here on Monday morning, clean UA, no stupid stuff. Hold each other accountable. I mean, that's how this whole thing works. I'm not going to get, super long-winded, but, don't smoke crack, all right? Okay? Jesus. All right? Just put whatever you got to put in place to get back here on Monday morning. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. I want to see 100% success rate. I don't care what the stats are. I don't care what the gloom and doom numbers are or whatever. We're going to contend until we see it again and again and again. Destroy those graduation statistics until we're getting every single person across the finish line. So remember that, man. You have hired us to save your life. Get what you came for. Get what you came for. Don't let anybody stand in the way of that. All right? So these nights are a really big deal. I like to put the very, very best in front of y'all. We have a guy that is speaking tonight that when I started Good Landing 8 years ago, he had been in the industry for years. He was the CEO of Blue Ridge at the time, and I heard stories about his recovery. I heard about him as a CEO that would get out and work as a tech. I would hear about this guy that would get out and sweep the floors, who was at the top position of one of the most reputable programs that I knew of at the time. And he was a friend to me, was always somebody that took time, that if I needed some information that probably most people wouldn't have given, that he was always willing to do that. I've just watched him live out recovery and love people and take care of people, and he's just done it right. And now he is the owner and CEO of Thoroughbred Recovery, which is, I know, a detox and residential center that is rapidly growing. I think they've got multiple sites now, and he can tell you more about that. He's got a social media online presence where he gives out amazing content. And without further ado, Todd Stumbo, if you'd come up and share with us. But y'all find him on social media, you follow him. Nobody better in the game.
Thanks, buddy. Love you, brother. Have a good one.
How y'all doing? Thank y'all for having me. They're going to grab a little stool so I don't have to I got a bag of tricks with me. We may get some exciting moments here at some point, get some volunteers. So my name's Todd. I'm an alcoholic and addict. Yeah, that'll work. I'll sit something on it. My sobriety date is July 1st of 2004. So it's hard to follow Trey, too, after that. I was like, man, you just keep going. But the reality of it is, a lot of what he said is so true, and it's so different now. The whole industry is so different. When I was in treatment, so I was a multiple offender, multiple treatments. I'd been in and out of jails for a long period of time, struggled with opiate use. It was kind of the thing I had to do to survive, but to get high, it was crack. So I got involved deep into that. When I went to treatment, there weren't the rules and regulations there are today. If you got in trouble, you relapsed, there was a teepee across this lake, and you go live in that teepee for 2 weeks. You make your own food, you figure it out. They didn't come and do any work with you. It was you just go to live. Some people get mad, they'd burn the teepee down. Now they don't have shelter, so they'd have to figure it out. But it was a different time then. And what I remember, I was in that treatment center around 16 months. I did 8 months in their intensive and then another 8 months in the outpatient setting in an apartment. Here's what I remember as I went through this experience. About 9 months into it, I'm in this apartment, and I go from a treatment center, so I'm getting to talk to all these counselors every day, right? And then all of a sudden, I'm planted into this apartment. There are no counselors. It's just me and my roommate. And man, my thoughts started to roll. I started to recognize, acknowledge them, because I couldn't go to a room down the hall and vomit all over a therapist anymore. It didn't exist. Here I was in this apartment, and I started wrestling with these different thoughts I was having. And I'll never forget it. I hadn't touched a Bible in I couldn't tell you how many years. If I did, it was probably to cut out the pages, how to gun, something along that lines. It wasn't to read it. And when I got this apartment, my parents brought everything I had down, put it in this apartment. My mom, set it up, and like any good mom, she set this Bible over by the nightstand. And I'm sitting on the edge of the bed, sitting there, just the thoughts start to race. Man, if this is what this is, I don't know that I want to keep doing it. And for some reason, I reached and grabbed that Bible. When I grabbed it, I dropped it, and these 2 yellow pieces of paper fell out. And it was a letter that my mom had written years before. And there's 2 things that stuck out to me in that letter. One said, if you're reading this, my prayers have been answered. Followed by Jeremiah 29:11. She says, look, I've been praying this over your life for years. And what she wrote in there, because I thought I was built to do the devil's work. In that moment, I'm sitting there thinking, is this it? Because it seemed like I was much better at what I was doing before I got into treatment. And I read the verse, and it said, For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans for good and not for evil. Plans for a hope and a future. And to this day, that verse has stuck with me. It rattled me because anytime I start to wrestle with my thoughts get me in the worst trouble. All the time. That's our issue, is the way we think. And I've wrestled with my thoughts for 21 years in sobriety. It's an ongoing thing. I'm not here to disappoint anybody, but it's not all rainbows and unicorns. You'll lay awake at night, staring at your ceiling, having thoughts, wondering why you're having these thoughts. It's just a part of life. And I want to talk about a psalm that I read that really explores this. And it's Psalm 13, and the reader highlights a few things in it. And it starts with a question that I think many people are too afraid to say to God or pray to God, however you look at it. Here's the way this psalm starts. How long, Lord? That's his question. How long, Lord? And then he follows that. Will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? How long must I wrestle with my thoughts and day after day have sorrow in my heart? How long will my enemy triumph over me? It's a different kind of prayer. And here's what I want you to know that I've had to learn is that God wants us to come to him with our honesty. He wants to know about our frustrations, our fears, our exhaustions, our how long can I do this? And some of you, and I've prayed these prayers, if you want to call them that, it sounded like this. How long until the cravings stop? How long until I feel normal again? How long until my family will trust? How long until I can look in the mirror and not be ashamed? How long until this gets easier? See, here the psalmist gives us permission to ask these questions, and it's not because God owes us some kind of answer. It's literally because he can handle that honesty. He would rather have your truthful frustration than your false praise all day long. And here's what I've learned is you might be one of these people, because I was one of them for a while. You can only be strong for so long. You can only white knuckle this deal for so long. You can only smile through the pain for so long. And you can only say, I'm fine for so long. But eventually, you will crack. And here's the thing. If you look at the psalm and you start to think about it, and as a man, this is what I would initially think. This guy's saying, how long must I wrestle with my thoughts? Well, he's got to be a weak human being. You know what I mean? He's got to be some fragile guy that can't handle life. And if you look at the attribution and you know Psalms, guess who wrote it? David. And if you don't know who David is, I'm going to give you a couple stories about David. One is, you imagine this teenage kid, he's out in the fields watching over his dad's sheep, right? He's a shepherd boy. This lion comes out of the woods, out of the darkness, whatever it is, and he's got this hungry, wild eye to him. He grabs one of the sheep in his mouth, and the Bible says this, David didn't run. He grabbed the lion by the mane. I mean, this is hands-on. Pries his mouth open, pulls the sheep out, and then the lion turns on him, so he kills it. That's David. And it goes on to talk about a bear comes at him, a 400-pound bear, just full of fury, comes at him. It ends up the same way, dead at his feet. But now, the story that David is most known for is the one where he's an errand boy. He shows up at the valley of Elah to bring his brothers some bread and cheese. And he hears this 9-foot giant called Goliath taunting the army of God. And he's thinking like, dude, you guys hear this? How long has this been going on? 40 days this dude is yelling at these guys. All these soldiers are hiding from him, all that. And David's over there saying, why are y'all letting this go down? And they look at him and they say, listen, man, you just need to shut up. You need to shut up and go home. You're too small. You're too young. And here's what David said. He said, listen, not a few months ago, I just killed a lion with my bare hands. I also killed a bear with my bare hands. That Philistine, he's going to go down the same way. So he grabs his sling, gets his stones, he walks out, no armor, no sword, none of that. Puts a stone in the sling, launches it, cracks Goliath right in the skull. Dude falls down. David walks over, pulls out Goliath's sword, cuts it half. Did the Captain Morgan stance, right? This guy is a lion killer. He's a bear slayer. He's a giant destroyer. Yet, this is the man who wrote Psalms 13, the man who said, how long must I wrestle with my thoughts? This strong man that can do these things is suffering. The same hands that killed a lion, the same heart that defeated a giant. This guy, it's the same voice that declared victory over a battle that hadn't been won yet. He's laying awake at night, fighting not with predators, not with his enemies, but with his own mind. And if that David wrestled with his thoughts, then maybe I shouldn't have shame when I have to wrestle with mine. Maybe you shouldn't have it when you wrestle with yours. Because David here in this psalm is admitting the hardest battle is not his enemies. It's the thoughts he can't escape. I don't know if you all have those thoughts, but I've had some for 20 years that I cannot escape. Some of you here tonight have conquered just incredible external battles. You walked away from drug dealers with your phone number on speed dial, left relationships that were probably killing you, survived withdrawal like it feels like death. I mean, you've slayed your own lions, your own bears, but you're still wrestling. Not with substances, but with your thoughts. Not with external enemies, but with the internal voices. And here's the thing, is many of us start to wonder, why is this continuing on? When is it going to get better? And here's what I'll tell you. I'll give you some hope. The fact that you're still wrestling with your thoughts doesn't mean you're weak. What it means is now you're getting strong enough to finally face the thing you're running from. And addiction, to me, often it's not a disease. It's actually the medication. It's the substances that quiet the thoughts. It was my solution to the problem. It got rid of it every single time. It numbed the pain. It silenced the shame. And now that the substances are gone, guess what? The thoughts start. And now the wrestling match begins. And I worked with this guy in treatment. Very wealthy guy, business guy, owned a ton of businesses, beautiful family, money in the bank. From the outside, you'd say, this guy's got it all. He should be the happiest guy in the world. But at 2 a.m., he would lay awake and he'd wrestle with thoughts of worthlessness. He'd wrestle with the anxiety of, am I enough? And he said to me, he's like, dude, look, I can close $2 million deals, but I cannot close my mind. David, I think, understands that. I understand that. And here's what I would say. When you're going through these moments, they'll crush you. They will crush you. I truly believe we go back out because we're wrestling with the thoughts and we can't defeat them. So what I've learned in the middle of those wrestling matches, I have to know where to look. And I want to give you some places to look to help you. So, and these aren't things that I made up. They're not things that I went out and researched. These are things that I apply in my life today still. They got taught to me. I teach them to other people, and I still use them on a daily basis. Number one, you got to look inward. You have to look at what you believe about the situation and the circumstances, your perspective on it. So imagine this. We all walk around in a state of anxiety, depression, whatever energy you carry, right? That state leads you to do what? Take action. That action gives you a result. That result will move you back to that state. So if I'm in a state of anxiety, what you would see most of the time is somebody that paces, maybe really nervous, walks with their head down, drumming their hands, whatever it may be. I do that enough. What does my brain start to tell me? It starts to say, hey, people will probably think you're weird. They probably think, why does he move so much? Why is he so anxious? And then it creates more anxiety. You see the cycle? It starts. Well, you come into treatment, and what they try to do is treat the state. They medicate you. They do all these different things. Nobody deals with the two problems. One is the story. The story drives the state. So you got to think about it. I got the story. It drives the state, which drives the action, which drives the result. Don't change the state, change the story. Change what you're telling yourself. Now, these are the strategies to change the story. Because a lot of people are like, well, how do I change the story? That's what we're going to talk about. That's what we're going to go through. So when you look inward and you truly get honest about those beliefs and you say, hey, is this hurting me or helping me? I heard Trey say something at the beginning of this. I had the same thing. Maybe it was the guy singing. My God, up for the first 12 years of my sobriety, was a very mean God. Punishing God. If you didn't do things exactly right, you're in trouble. And I had to get rid of that belief. It did not serve me at 12 years sober, and I'm going to talk about what happened to me at 12 years sober, it did not serve me anymore, and I had to look at that. I had to go inward and change the way I looked at it. What we believe about our situation determines how we're going to respond to it, and if I believe that, say, suffering is meaningless, then I'll probably respond in a state of despair. But on the other hand, if I believe that things in my life are a test to help me grow, then I'm going to probably respond with patience, acceptance, different things that we learn in recovery. So when you look inward, it's taking an honest inventory. What do I think? Why do I think? And why am I telling myself these things? So there was a guy, I was about 9 years sober. I was working at that facility that Trey brought up, and he was the division president. And he said this, he said, hey, I want to help you grow. You got a few minutes? And he told me it'd take about 30 minutes. We went into this little room and we stayed for 5 hours. And during that time, there was laughter, there was tears, I got mad, all this. But he left me with this. He had me do an assignment. He said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go ask 3 people this question. He's like, you beg them for the truth. If you want to grow and you want to get better, beg them for the truth, and you got to get them to write it on paper, seal it in an envelope, and give it to you. You go read them all, go see your sponsor, and go to a meeting. And I'm like, what the heck kind of question is he having me ask? And here's the question. What is it like to have to live on the other side of Todd? And I was like, dude, this is going to be so awesome. I mean, I went to jail for armed robbery. Like now I'm working 3 jobs. I'm the clinical director at this facility. I'm doing DUI schools and I'm doing drug court. I'm awesome. You know what I mean? I'm like giving back. This is how I saw myself. This is the perspective. And so I had a wife, I had kids. So I'm getting up 4:35 in the morning, leaving home. I don't come back till 10 or 11 at night. This is 6 days a week. I mean, I'm productive. I'm out there getting it done. I see myself as a great provider. I go ask these people to write these letters. 21 pages got written. One of the pages, I don't even know what was on it. My ex-wife never did tell me. Out of the 20, 19 and a quarter were defects of character. I was broken. How can you see me this way? Look at me. Look at what I'm doing compared to what I was doing. And I'll never forget, my ex-wife, I gave her everything I could. I was like, hey, you I'll work 3 jobs. You stay home. Here's a credit card. Do your thing. I'll never forget what she wrote. The one word that stuck out, she said, you're neglectful. How can you say that? I'm giving you what you said you wanted. But I'm leaving the house at 4:35 in the morning, not getting back till 11. When I am home, guess what? I'm not home. You ever been that tired? You know what I mean? You are doing the deal, but when you show up, you're not there. And it hit me. This was an emotional neglect. Then I go to my son. He was 5 when I met him. And when I met him, I said, listen, I'll never do to you what happened to me. I'll never yell at you. I'll never hit you. None of that's going to ever happen. I'm never going to spank you, all that kind of stuff. When I grew up, what they used to do, now you'll go to prison for. You know what I mean? Back then it was called discipline, punishment, whatever you want to call it. It was a whole different, even in schools, it was a different game. So I tell him that. In a half a page, he writes how terrified of me he is. It broke me. It's like, I don't want to be that guy. How do you see me that way? I don't see me that way. I saw me as showing up for this young little kid whose dad is struggling with addiction, and I've started to overcome it. So how can I be of service and be in his life? That's not what he experienced. Then the third was an employee, and she wrote, I'm terrified of you. And I'm pretty sure all the clients are terrified of you and all the other stuff. So here I am thinking I'm like the biggest teddy bear in the world and everybody's terrified of me. And so I had to look inward and it hurt. Why was this? Why was it that people saw me this way? Well, I trace it back to traumas of my childhood, being bullied, made fun of, having to fight all the time. So my goal as I grew up was I'll keep you as far away from me as possible. And the way I'll do that is I'll get as big as I can, look as mean as I can, and I'll be as nasty as I can to keep you away. Because if you are close, then you can hurt me. But if you're not, then you can't get near me. So I was cut off. Still to this day, at 21 years sober, I have trouble having friends. It's just not, my love languages are don't touch me and leave me alone. I mean, I enjoy being by myself. I don't want people around me. Yet God calls me to be that guy. So it's so wild how I dug myself inwardly. I dug myself this ditch, and now he's calling me to come out of it. And so when I looked inward, it hurt so bad that I almost quit the industry. I almost walked away. And I had to start to look upward. And when I looked upward, it's to find God, that higher power in my life to say, hey, I need direction. I have to have faith in this moment. And in recovery, looking up, it really means stop trying to figure it all out. Surrender the outcomes. Acknowledge that the best thinking you got you into this mess, and ask for some wisdom. In Proverbs 3:5-6 says this, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Lean not on your own understanding. It stuck out to me. In all your ways, submit to him, and he will make your path straight. So we've looked inward. Now we've looked upward. Next is we look backward. I look back and I ask myself, hey, what have I done in the past during times like this? And how did it turn out? Do I need to do something different? Because this is where I tell people all the time, it's like, this is what Recovery Wisdom 101 is about, patterns, historic patterns. You run across those 7, 8, 9-time treatment offenders, 12-time treatment offenders, there's a pattern. And I promise you, it's not all the treatment centers that you went through. It's you. And you got to look at that pattern or your life doesn't change. And so what I try to tell people is If you want what you've always gotten, keep doing what you've always done. You want to claim that you followed the guidance and direction of the treatment professionals? It's that, hey, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. And then when whatever it takes shows up, you're like, well, but that. There can't be a but that. I know when I walked in the doors of treatment, I said, listen, I'm broken. I will do whatever you tell me to do. I am willing to do whatever. It doesn't matter. I am willing to do what it takes. And when people ask me, well, how'd you do it? I did whatever it took to not pick up, to never pick up no matter what. Looking backward is not about shame, so it's not designed to look back and say, well, crap, that makes me feel bad. It's to teach. It's also to encourage. So when David looked back and he said, well, I killed a bear, I killed a lion, I should be good with Goliath then. I even got a weapon. I'm going to go after this guy. It gave him courage to go forward. And your history of what God has brought you through can fuel you and your faith for what's ahead. All of you guys in this room are 100%, 10 out of 10, whatever, of getting through bad days. You are, because you're here. You've made it through every bad circumstance you ever went through because you're sitting in this room. So lean on that. Number 4, look forward. Here's where you got to determine the consequences of the choices you make, good or bad. If you look at it and you say, well, I'm going to play this tape through and I'm going to give in to this craving, what's likely going to happen? I know what will happen for me. I instantly go to forget the death. It's going to be jails and institutions pretty immediate. I'm not lucky enough to die. It's you leave treatment early, what's going to happen? Hazelton came out with a study years and years and years ago that said only 2% of first-time treatment goers that complete 28 days are sober a year later. So you tell me the percentage it's going to be if you leave early. It drops dramatically. So you got to look forward of, if I do this, because if you knew what was best for you, you would have already done it. You wouldn't continue to suffer. You just wouldn't do that. But we lie to ourselves and we'll say, no, this will be different. I'll actually try this time. So you've got to look forward. And sometimes when you look forward and you find hope, it means to do the most difficult thing. It means to stay when you want to run. It means to reach out when you want to isolate. Now, we know where to look. So we're looking inward, we're looking upward, we're looking backward, we're looking forward. Now we have to determine where not to dwell, because we like to obsess over stuff, right? And David obsessed over these thoughts while he was in these caves. And here's the number one thing, don't dwell on the situation. You dwell on a situation, you're going to get filled with anger and anxiety, and you'll obsess about what's happening and replay it and let it start to consume you. We in recovery, we love to obsess. We're good at it. We look for things like the broken relationship. You ever said or heard somebody say, listen, I got to go fix my marriage. You know what I mean? I'm going to leave treatment early where my wife wanted me to come or my husband wanted me to come so I can go fix my marriage. We're obsessing about it. We obsess over legal trouble, financial wreckage, all of that stuff. We become paralyzed by our own anxiety and consumed by the anger that it drives us. Neither one lead to health and wellness. Number 2, don't dwell on yourself. If you dwell on yourself, you get filled with self-pity. And these feelings of self-pity, they create inadequacy, low self-worth, low self-esteem. And when that happens to us, ego surfaces. And we all know what ego means, right? Edging God out. We start to push God out of our lives. That self-pity says, why me? Poor me. Nobody understands me. It turns us into victims instead of victors. And here's what I want to say is I'm not minimizing anybody's story, but I guarantee you there's somebody in this room that's went through harder times than you ever have. Guarantee it. And they're sitting here and they made it through it. So don't sit in a state of self-pity because it'll keep you stuck from where God wants to move you forward. Number 3, Don't dwell on blaming. If you dwell on blaming, you'll start to complain, and you'll have these feelings of resentment and entitlement. My favorite story when I was in treatment, my nutritional, daily nutritional intake was when I was getting high, was a grape Gatorade and a Snickers bar. Now, if I really wanted to celebrate, I'd go get like a double bacon cheeseburger at Dairy Queen, right? But I usually wanted my money to go elsewhere. So I made sure it was that. I get into treatment. They've got this lady that's making food in the kitchen for us, a little chef lady. She makes this steak. And I sit down and I just explode because it's not medium rare. It's like well done. And I flip my lid. And I'm like, dude, the entitlement that I have that surfaces when all of a sudden my circumstances change, and how dare you give me a well-done steak when I said I wanted medium rare. It's insanity that we get involved in that stuff. So if you start to dwell, you'll get in the blaming, you'll have that resentment, the entitlement. The blaming says, hey, it's my parents' fault. It's the system's fault. It's GoodLanding's fault. It's everybody's fault but yours. And if you're not the problem, as we always hear, there is no solution. So I have to listen to what that says. And it really, when you start to blame, it gives away your power. Because if you're blaming other people, how are you going to change it? You got to take ownership of the problem, and then you start to change it. Number 4, don't dwell on the past or on the future. So if you dwell on the past or future, you're going to miss the point of what God is trying to do or achieve or teach you in your life right now. Dwelling on the past, it'll keep you chained to shame, regret, and a lot of toxic feelings. And it will fill you full of anxiety and fear, and it robs you of the present moment. I wrote this statement, and I teach our clients this all the time. If you can't let go of the past, you're going to struggle to have a present. And if you can't have a present, you're definitely not going to have a future. So it is so hard for us to live in the present because we will pick one. We will go to the past or the future, but we do not want to sit in the present. It's so hard. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm 21 years sober, and I still have struggles with that. I don't think a lot about the past anymore. It's a lot more about the future, the anxieties of the future that get me. What I do know is God is doing something right now in this room for somebody. You're in a season, a difficult season, but there's growth in that struggle. Don't give up before the miracle happens. Don't miss it because you're stuck in yesterday or you're worried about tomorrow. Work to stay in the present. Now, we've talked about where to look, what not to dwell on, and here's the most important thing: how to be. Because when you're wrestling with something, you have to be certain things to get through it. Even wrestlers themselves have to go through this and live it out. So here's 4 ways to be. So the first one is be patient. I call this the law of pain because it is painful to be patient. And the word patient, it stresses non-retaliation. It means to hold one's spirit in check without exhibiting frustration with difficult circumstances. I used to think I was patient until I read that. I'm like, wait a second. So I can't exhibit frustration with difficult circumstances. And I'm not. It also goes on to say we're long-tempered and long-suffering. That wasn't me. I thought I was patient because you would start a fight with me at a party and I wouldn't do anything. I'd walk off. And I'd wait for 2 months until you weren't paying attention. Then I'd be the guy that comes hit you with a brick in the middle of another party and call myself patient. I wasn't patient. I fed off of vengeance. It was a sickness for me. So we have to learn to be patient. Proverbs 25 says this: whoever has no rule over his own spirit is like a city broken down without walls. I always use it. It's a pretty harsh way to say it. Don't let people rape you of your serenity. They will take it all day long if you let them. Don't let them do that. Being patient in difficult circumstances mean we deliberately allow God to handle the situation in his way and on his time. And what this does, I want you guys to hear this, it helps us develop healthy anticipation for the future. Can you hear, have you had healthy anticipation for the future in a while? Most of us haven't. You sit around worrying versus, man, God has brought me this far. Why in the world would he not continue to take me on if I'm doing the next right thing? Healthy anticipation. Yeah, this is hard and it sucks right now, but I believe it's going to get better. Most of us don't think that way. We start to get into negative thinking. This healthy anticipation, it'll reduce the anxiety, and it helps us try not to control things, because I love to control. And if you determine and you develop that faith and hope that God's going to help you work through it, it will make the present bearable. You ever felt like the present, the reason you live in the past or the future, is because the present just is not bearable. It hurts too much to live in the present. It hurts too much to acknowledge my current circumstance based on where I want to be or where I was, because we got both. What I do know is if you can't do this, this is where we start to repeat old behaviors. We feel lost, we feel misdirected, and when we feel that, we seek relief, and we seek relief from drugs and alcohol. Some of us have some other things in there. It could be fitness, sex, shopping, whatever it is, we seek relief, and you'll feel more feelings of emptiness. And here we are in that cycle again, that state, the action, the result. We're back into it. Have you ever heard the story of the Chinese bamboo tree? Anybody ever heard it before? So Les Brown tells it. And so this tree, apparently the seed of this tree is one of the hardest in the world. So you take it and you plant it, and you got to cultivate it. You got to go out, rake it, water it, take care of it. And so you do that. Year one, you're out there taking care of it. Guess what happens? Nothing. You're like, okay, well, the instructions say to keep doing this. Year two, you're out there watering it, raking, taking care of it. Guess what happens? Nothing. You're like, well, are they playing a joke? Year three, I'm going to do it anyway. Do it again. Nothing. So now you start to question everything. I'm going to keep doing it, though. This is all, I'm 3 years in. Year four, guess what? Nothing happens. Now you're starting to get resentful, angry, tell stories that may not be true. They're doing this to make fun of me, whatever it is. Year five, in the first 2 weeks, it sprouts waist high. Over the next 6 weeks, 90 feet tall. So do you think that tree grew like that in 8 weeks? No. It had to grow a root system deep into the ground to be able to handle that kind of growth. Recovery is that way. I was 2.5 years sober before I ever got cash in my hands again. And I'll never forget, my parents handed me $50. That was supposed to get me food for the week. I went and bought a carton of Marlboro Reds. That was what I did. And they were like, see, this is why we don't give you money. We can't trust you. That's what we do to ourselves. We're not patient. We don't understand that this takes time and we got to grow deep. I thought I will never make more than $40,000 a year because I am horrible with money. I can't be trusted. All this kind of the story that I would tell myself. It didn't change until I started to change the story. So we have to learn that and learn to be patient. Number two, be firm. This is the law of intentionality. When you get in a waiting period and you're told, well, listen, because I don't know your all's rules or guidelines, whatever you call it, but we deal with this all the time. Hey, you can't have your cell phone for the first X amount of time. They get all fired up about it. You know, they get irritated, frustrated, all that. We hold grudges, we murmur, we grumble. We get all mad about it. Here's where you got to establish your hearts. You have to learn and understand that your self-talk will reveal parts of your heart where it's really at. Because we think this is a disease of the mind, and it's not. I believe there's parts of that. I think it's a disease of the heart. It goes much deeper. When I started to learn about brain and heart coherence, I started to realize my problem. My mind would think one thing and make me do something that my heart didn't believe in. And here's where it makes the difference. When you behave in conflicting ways, it lowers your self-esteem. So you have to learn to align your actions with what you know to be right. Not what you want, not what you think you deserve, but what you know to be right. And this means you got to establish some principles. You got to come up with them. You got to make a mission statement for your life. That was one of the assignments I had. I took it, I tattooed it on my stomach. I see it every morning. And it has nothing to do with what house I'm going to have, car, money, nothing. It's going to be, because this is how the assignment happened. If we took everything from you, Todd, and put you in a room with a light on you, who are you? I didn't know. My identity was based on what I had or what I could do, not who I was. Because I hated that guy. I'd look in the mirror. I couldn't stand what he had done in the past. So I had to establish my heart and develop a mission statement and say, if you took everything from me, this is the guy I'll be in all my affairs, no matter the circumstance. And so when I was a pilot, you had to carry your emergency checklist in your plane as a requirement. And you trained on these things, engines going out, all that. They'd shut the power off, make you do the process. You had the whole checklist. Why do you think they did that? Over and hours of it. Because when it actually happens, guess what happens to your brain? It goes offline. It's like, oh my God, this is real. And so I've been in 2 plane crashes, a gear up landing and then an engine out. I survived. I'm here. The reality of it was the engine out, I completely forgot what to do. I pulled the list out. As soon as I saw the first sentence, boom, brain back online. That's why this mission statement for your life is so important, because when life hits you in the face, because it will, it's coming. Y'all have heard it. It's outside doing push-ups in the parking lot right now. It is coming for you, and if you don't have principles that will guide you through that storm, you will not make it. If you're a degree off, you will land somewhere totally different. My first solo, I was headed to Rome. I put it in the plane. I drift a degree, a little over a degree, but about that. I ended up 25 miles above Rome. I was like, oh, how did this happen? You know what I mean? The wind blowing, all that. So you're a degree off of your target, you're in trouble. You have to establish those principles. You got to ask yourself, what are your non-negotiables in recovery? Do you, like some of mine is like, nobody can bring alcohol in my house. I don't care who it is. Nobody can bring alcohol. I got a little old Centurion boat. My brother drinks. You can't bring alcohol on my boat. You stay on your boat. It's fine if you drink. It's fine if I stay at his house. He's got alcohol in his house. But my things, I will not have the thing that almost killed me a part of my life. See, being firm with this stuff means that you don't change them based on how you feel on a daily basis. I'm this guy in all my affairs, all the time, no matter what. Number 3, be clean. This is the law of respect. So this is where I need a volunteer. You don't have to say anything. It's not going to take very long. Can I get somebody to come up? All right, thank you, sir. Come on up. Yeah, you got to come up here. What's your name?
Cody Allen.
Cody, nice to meet you, man. Here's what I want you to do. I'm going to put this toothpaste out.
All right.
I want you to put all that back inside this tube without making a mess.
Okay. Well, hang on. Can I blow on it?
I don't care. Yeah, it doesn't matter what.
Y'all go.
Yeah, you know where that was going.
Hang on. Well.
You're making a mess, Cody.
Yeah. I know it.
I don't think you can do it. Yeah, it's not working.
No, it ain't. I mean, it's working a little bit, but
Well, thank you for trying. It's not going to work.
exactly.
Thanks, bud. Give him a hand. So, it never was designed to work. I've done this exercise hundreds of times, and in every room full of addicts and alcoholics, they always try. The times I've done it in normal people, they look at it and say, well, that's not possible. We love to go, which is not a bad thing. The problem is when we apply that to our sobriety in our life, it's sometimes not the best thing. Well, no, I think I can drink because I just smoke crack. You know what I mean? So alcohol is cool. I can do alcohol. But here's the thing about being clean is when you say, I call it the daggers of the heart. When you say it and it comes out of your mouth, there's no way to put it back.
Amen.
When you say the hurtful thing to somebody around you, you make the judgment, you say something negative about your roommate, I don't care what it is, you can't put it back. I learned the hard way in treatment, and what I got taught was my counselor said this, he's like, hey, have you ever just tried to pray for the person? In the moment, when you're struggling, if their tone of their voice just bothers you and rattles you, you hate it, have you ever prayed for them? And I started to do that, and it started to change me. Didn't change them, started to change me. So you don't want to grumble against one another. The word grumble means to have a sigh of an inner unexpressed feeling when the pressures of life mount. We want to divide. And we go through these difficult times and we look around us and we say, why does that guy look like he's got it so easy? Why is his recovery going so well? Why does he get to drive that car, not knowing the whole time that he's over his head in debt, but he looks good? But the stress, the anxiety of that. So you've got to learn to stop to grumble against one another. Being clean means I focus on my stuff, my attitude, my behaviors, and my responses. Number 4, be aware. This is the law of awareness. It's that knowledge that troubling times are going to come after you. Because see, when I got sober, I thought, well, hey, it's going to be rainbows and unicorns. Because if I just quit smoking crack and robbing people, life should get better, right? In a sense, it did. But guess what I was dealt with? I was dealt with the wreckage of my past. Started to float up here. I'm like, well, crap, nobody told me about this. If you'd have told me all this was going to have to be dealt with, I don't know that I'd want to do this. But the reality of it is being aware that what you're doing here at Good Landing is hard. When you're out of that on your own, it gets harder because you're left to yourself. Your ego, it drifts in and it says, like I got a sponsor I've had for years. He's got 40 years sober. He's a CPA. What does he know? I've ran treatment centers for 20 years. What does he know that he can tell me? That's what my brain says. It causes me to disconnect from him. Having struggles in life, it's going to be a natural process. But if you want to grow and you've already learned to be patient, be firm, and be clean, this is that last piece, is now be aware. And suffering at times it's unexplainable. And we all want to start to grumble, but you got to learn to have right action. And so at 12 years sober, I'm stepping out of a shower at about 11 o'clock at night. And my wife at the time says, hey, I want a divorce because you're not happy. I was like, wait a minute. I feel like you're supposed to say you want a divorce because you're not happy. She's telling me she wants a divorce because I'm not happy. In my brain, the story that we talked about earlier, that story, what it told me and what I got taught growing up is if I get a divorce, I lose everything, I die, and I go to hell. That's what's going to happen. And it wasn't a conscious story. These are programmed into us by parents, churches, social media, all this kind of stuff. We get programmed, and I didn't know. I just felt this anxiety. I started to run from God. She apologized that next morning because she saw the distress it put me in. She said, look, I'll never say it again. She said it 7 times over the next 2 months. My home became a hand grenade. The safety that I thought was there was gone. So here I am. I'm packing my stuff up the last time she says it, walking out, and my 5-year-old daughter's sitting in the floor with my ex-wife. She was drunk for 8 months. I had no idea. That's how wild this disease is. I do this every day, and I can spot you being high, but I couldn't tell her being drunk and high. That's how wild it is. And I'm walking out. She's yelling, get out. And my 5-year-old daughter, yeah, Dad, get out. It just broke me. It devastated, because she doesn't know. I go rent this. I wish I could. I don't know if I should say I want to burn it to the ground, but this crap house that I had, I couldn't stand it. I went and rented it, and I'm sitting on the edge of the bed at 12 years sober, just got named CEO, just graduated college after 20 years, and I'm sitting on the edge of this bed with a .45 in my hand contemplating suicide. I didn't think about getting high. I immediately went to, this is happening, and God is going to abandon me. He's going to, I can't get through this. We're getting a divorce. There's no way around it, because I cannot stay in that relationship. It's going to kill me or lead me back to being a guy that I don't want to be. I had to walk. So I had to go away for 3.5 days to this program in Tennessee called Onsite. I went up there. It's a leadership thing, and they do deep inner work. It's experiential work. And I'll never forget, we sat there for 3 days, and I watched 12 men get on stage like this and do their psychotherapy, where you play out things, childhood things, all that kind of stuff. After that 3 days, time runs out. The 2 therapists say, hey, did everybody get a chance to go? And the whole room, those 12 guys looked down. No, that guy down there didn't go. And I'm like, guys, listen, it's 5 o'clock. It's good. I'll do it first next time. Next year, promise you, I'll go first. You know, they're like, dude, we're not leaving until you get up. We can feel the energy. I get up there and I'm thinking, there's these 2 therapists, one named Jim, one is Eli. Jim is very clinically driven, and I was like, well, I'm a clinician. I can probably take him down the road I want him to go. Hopefully I get Jim. Why didn't I get Jim? I got Eli, and the name Eli means your God. So I knew I was in trouble right out of the gate. Eli is also an old man that stands about this tall, white beard, white hair. How could this be even more revealing? And I'm sitting there. He says, what do you want to work on? I'm on the surface. Well, you know, work is this, that. He stops me dead in the track. He doesn't know me. He says, tell me about your dad. And dude, this is the next thing I know, I'm sitting in a chair sobbing like a child, yelling at God across from me. He brought God in the room. He said, I want you to tell him the truth. Tell him the truth about what you think. And I went off on God. I've had 30 friends die or be murdered from this disease. Gone. I quit counting after that. And I'm yelling at him, why not me? Why did I have to go through all this? Why didn't you just take me and leave Brian? Why didn't you take me and leave Josh? And I go through this pain, and then he says something to me that's so wild. He said, listen, I want you to get up. I want you to switch seats, and I want you to play God, and I want you to tell Todd the truth. And man, I get chills talking about it. I don't know what I said, but what I remember I felt was a cylinder that came through my back and out the front, and it took every bit of shame of my life away. And it immediately made me feel the love of God. It wasn't punishment. It wasn't you got to do everything right. It was, man, you're free to roam about the cabin. Be yourself. Be authentic to who I designed you to be. That's all I'm asking you to do. And drugs and alcohol and dishonesty, all that, that's not who I designed you to be. It's going to be uncomfortable, but go be who I designed you to be. And that's what the law of awareness is about, is knowing those times are coming. Here's what Kent Hughes says. Our moral development, our character, is largely dependent upon the experience of suffering. Without trials, we would be morally dwarfed. The study of the lives of great people reveals there's a consistent link between the crucible and true greatness. So most great achievers experience great suffering. You experience great suffering. You can be a great achiever. Much like Trey, I stand up here in front of you guys. I was broken. I was in drug-induced psychosis. I could shrink myself. I'm going to get brutally honest, transparent. I could shrink myself in treatment. You know what I mean? I was delusional. I even thought I smoked crack with Snoop Dogg. I don't know why that came up. It was a weird, I could go on for days on the delusions. But I had nothing. I was 24. My own shadow wouldn't hang out with me. I had lost everything. And I got into this place and it said, look, if you're willing to do the next right thing, you'll start to get things back. And what I wasn't in control of was how fast that would happen. And that's where this comes into play. But I look back 21 years ago, I don't deserve to be a free man today. I don't. Many of you probably don't, or women. But the beauty of the message I got today is God set me on a course and he's told me now why I didn't die and what I'm meant to do now on earth. And the same goes for you guys. You got to look, and the ones that suffered and survived now have a message and they become the effective helper that can help the next person. See, having hope for your future creates faith in yourself and in God, and having faith will actually toughen you up so you can go through and endure the suffering. And enduring suffering makes you the person that can have compassion for others who struggle. That's what this is all about. And here's the thing. The enemy doesn't want that. The enemy wants you stuck in one position. He wants you stuck in shame. He wants you stuck in the how long. He wants you stuck replaying these same thoughts over and over, the memories, the lies, all that. But the Spirit of God, I promise you, is saying, somebody tonight, rise up and change levels. Come out of that. I mean, look at Psalms 13, the way it ends. But I trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation. I will sing the Lord's praises, for he has been good to me. In 6 verses, David goes from how long do I have to suffer to singing the Lord's praises. I mean, he goes from pit to praise, from pain to purpose, from groaning to gratitude in 6 verses. That's how quick he can move. And the circumstances for David didn't change. He was still in the cave. He was still on the run. But David changed. He rose up and he changed levels. And he started to focus not on his problems, but on his faithfulness in God. So here's my final word to you guys to kind of go over it. Let's bring it all together. And if you're in a crushing situation tonight, if you've been asking yourself, how long do I have to go through this? If you've been wrestling with the thoughts, here's the pathway through it. 1, look inward, examine those beliefs about the situation. 2, look upward, turn to God for direction and begin to have faith. 3, look backward, learn what's worked and not worked in your past. 4, look forward, make choices that give you hope. That's crucial. Make choices that give you hope. Hanging out with the old friend that sells dope, but he says that he's not going to sell it or smoke it around you, that's not a decision or choice that gives you hope. You know what I mean? They're hard to make, but it's not going to give you hope. Don't dwell on the situation because it's going to breed anxiety and anger. Don't dwell on yourself because it breeds self-pity. Don't dwell on blaming because it's going to breed resentment. And don't dwell on the past or the future because it's going to rob you of the present. And then be patient. Hold your spirit in check. Tell it to sit down, shut up, and hang on, because you're going on this ride. Be firm. Establish those principles. Leave tonight and develop a mission statement. Who are you? Who do you want to be? You can do that too. You may not have the qualities that you want right now. Start to build on it, work on it, write it down, read it every single day and night that you can. Y'all ever hear of a 369? It's in songs too. 369 is this. It's wild because there's a ton of people that do it. Like I said, you'll hear it in songs. It's taking something like a mission statement, writing it down 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the afternoon, 9 times at night, and doing that for 30, 45 days. It is insanely difficult to pull off. Try it. I guarantee you, if you do it, the reason you do it, you remember in school, you get in trouble, the older folks, you get in trouble, they make you go to the board, right? I will not chew gum in class 1,000 times or whatever. It's to retrain your brain. It's to teach. Because the only way you learn new things and you get reprogrammed as an adult, you have to be in theta state. You can't get in theta state unless you're easily hypnotized or as you're passing through it in sleep. The only other way is consistency and discipline and time. And you're doing it over and over and over. Then be aware. Prepare for the trials that build character. So trust that crushing is creating character. You're not going through it for no reason. Believe that hope, faith, and love are being forged within that fire. And everything that we talked about tonight comes down to one thing, and one thing only, and that is your attention. See, David wrestled with thoughts because his attention was under attack. It'd been hijacked. And the meaning of your life, because we go around trying to find, why am I here? What's the meaning? The meaning of your life, it's attached to the currency of your life. And that currency, a lot of people would think it's time or money, and it's not. That currency is your attention, what you focus on. So whatever has your attention has your life. So give it to something worthy. Give it to somebody that's worthy, because where your attention goes, your energy flows. Let me pray for us. Father, just thank you for David's honesty, and thank you that we can come to you with our how longs, and you don't turn away from us. And tonight, we bring you our crushing situations, the wrestling that we have with our thoughts, the suffering that we don't understand. And we just ask that you help us look inward with honesty, upward to you, backward for the wisdom, and forward with hope. And keep us from the traps of focusing on the situations, ourselves, on blame or dwelling in the wrong places. And teach us to be patient, to be firm, to be clean, and to be aware. And just give us the strength to change levels, to move from complaining to praising, from victim to victor, from crush to character. And we trust that you're going to produce the faith, hope, and love in us through the process. And we choose to sing your praises even before the breakthrough, because you've been good to us. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you, guys.
Amen. Thank you, Todd. Thank you. And we're going to clean up the toothpaste. Thank you, sir. Thank you for that practical wisdom.